Alrighty, in today's video, it's going back there. We're gonna be reviewing the Segway Navimow X430. Where you going, buddy? All right, first thing on the list, we'll go over all the specifications and features and we'll take a closer look. And then what we'll probably do is jump back in time whenever I first set this up, and I'll show you what the yard looked like before we started using it. And then I'll go around today to show you what it looks like now, which is roughly 2 to 2.5 weeks worth of cutting. Alrighty, let's get to it. All right, so this is the Segway Navimow X430, and just FYI, there is a couple other versions like the X450, stuff like that. It's basically like a bigger battery and it can do a larger area. So the X430 is rated for 1 acre, and just FYI, for my property around here, or my property is just under 1 acre. So the backyard is going to be a little under a ½ acre, and then same thing for the front. And then in the app, I'll show you here in just a minute, my actual cutting area actually only turned out to be like 0.62 of an acre, which I thought it was a little bit larger, but maybe that's just all the cutting area. So of course my house and all the other obstacles on my property, you know, equates to 0.62 of an acre that it actually cuts, which was pretty interesting. Okay, so anyway, this is a 4-wheel drive system. They call it the 4-wheel drive zero turn or all-wheel drive system. So each wheel has a little motor in it. The front wheels basically kind of turn similar to a car, but the wheels can literally turn like, it has this whole area in here, and I'll show you that a little bit later. So it's able to do, you know, basically 0 turns. It does a lot better job of not tearing up your grass like many of the other ones that I've seen and tested. Since this is a 4-wheel drive robot mower, it can climb slopes up to 84% or 40 degrees. Now in my yard, I don't have anything like that. I mean, it's fairly flat. There's just barely tiny little slope right there. Nothing crazy at all. Okay, so yeah, I didn't have any hills or anything like that to test it on, but that's what they're claiming it can do. So this is a wire-free installation. So that means you don't have to do like a boundary wire. And honestly, I'm not sure what robot mowers actually use a boundary wire these days. If you do know one, make sure you drop it down in the comment section because I'd love to see it. Anyway, wire-free installation. Next will be the navigation system. So this is a EFLS 3.0 navigation system. So basically it's kind of like 3-in-1. It's RTK, VSLAM or VSLAM, and then VIO. For obstacle avoidance, they're calling it the Vision Fence 360. Basically there's some cameras all the way around here and some other sensors right up here, which I'll show you in just a second. It can detect over 200 objects, you know, and go right around them. Basically, you know, it can detect trees and really anything that you have in your yard. So picnic tables, solar panels, trees, you know, wood piles, you know, mailboxes, whatever you got in your yard, it's going to basically see that and avoid it. And of course it does also avoid humans and animals. For the mapping, you can either do like the AI automatic mapping or you can do it manually, and I did do both. So here in the backyard, I'm kind of fenced in basically all the way around, and then I've got the arbor vitae trees all the way over there, and then my house is right back here. I did do the automatic mapping back here, and I'll say it did do a pretty good job. There was just a little area right over here that I needed to adjust, and that was because I didn't have one of the settings set inside the app, basically the setting that gets you closer to the edges over there. And then I'll just show you real quick. For the AI mapping, a lot of the other AI mapping have a problem with this as well. So when it's mapping down this right here, it got a little confused, and then it started going around over here, and then it continued on, you know, where it needed to go. So I did have to go in here and adjust this spot right here. Actually, I just did it manually inside the map. So you can edit the map, you can kind of like draw it. And that's what I did right here, is I just pointed right here and then right over there, and it created a straight line for me, which was pretty cool. I just did some of the editing, you know, just right inside the app. I didn't even have to take the mower over there. I basically set 2 points and it created a straight line for me. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, it can do AI, automatic mapping zone, or manual zone, and you can do up to 120 mowing zones. It'll do a geo sketch for virtual boundaries. This is weather adaptive, so there is a little rain sensor up here on the top, which I will show you in just a second. And there's a couple different settings that you can choose inside the app, again, which I'll show you in just a second. For the battery inside of here, it is 21.6 volts, 12.8 amp hours. And what that equates to whenever you are out here cutting, or whenever it's out here cutting your grass, it'll cut for roughly 110 minutes, you know, doing its thing. And then whenever it's done cutting, it'll automatically go back to the charging station and hang out there to recharge for roughly 90 minutes. Noise level on this, they say 68 decibels, but I will just let you know that this one is super, super quiet. This one's probably the quietest one that I have actually tested. The weight on this is 63.7 pounds, and then the measurements is gonna be 33.5 long by 24 inches wide by almost 14 inches tall, probably right to this little edge right here. And then the last thing, of course, is this has a GPS anti-theft tracking, and it also does over-the-air updates. All right, we'll just take a quick little look at everything so you can see everything up close. So starting right back here, you're gonna get a lifting handle. You're gonna get kind of a raised logo saying Navimow. You're gonna get your rain sensor right here, an emergency stop button, and then surprisingly, a really nice LCD screen right here, and then your menu button so you can navigate the screen. Gonna get an LED light bar right here. This kind of changes different colors depending on what's happening. And then up here towards the front, this is that Vision Fence 360. So we have a camera right here. Go around to the front side. You're gonna have a camera right up here and two other sensors. And then you're gonna have another camera right around the corner right over here. If we go back around to the front side, we drop down just a little bit. This is where your charging station and contacts are going to be, right back there. We zoom out just a little bit. We're going to have our little bumper right here with our sensors inside. This is kind of like a rubbery type material. And then we also have some headlights on here, basically on each fender. And then we come around to the front wheels, which are pretty big and beefy. These wheels right over here, whenever it's running, it's kind of crazy to see it work, because this thing is pretty big. You know, it does steer like a vehicle, but if it needs to do a zero turn, like these front wheels, they'll rotate basically all the way around. And this whole thing can almost for the most part, just spin around right here. It's pretty crazy to see it actually working. And actually, it kind of looks like maybe even like a Batmobile, an Indy car or something, because you have these little air channels through here as well, which is pretty cool. Moving around to the back side, you're gonna have slightly larger, bigger, beefy wheels back here with nice knobs on those. If we look at the back, honestly, it kind of looks like the back of a car back here as well. But there's not really much, there's no taillights or anything, it just says Navimow right there. And I think that's, for the most part, everything on the outside. I mean, this thing does look really, really cool. Honestly, this is probably the coolest robot mower I've ever seen. All right, taking a look at the business end right here. This is called the Momentum deck right here. We have obviously two rotating discs, and each disc is going to have 6 blades on it, and there's kind of like 2 layers. So here is the upper layer, which is closer to the deck, and then right in the middle that we can't actually see, there's the other one right there. So there are 6 blades on each rotating disc, and the cutting width is 17 inches, which is actually the widest one that I've ever tested. And the cutting height for the deck is going to be 3/4 of an inch all the way up to 4 inches. So you get just a ridiculous amount of adjustment there. And then speaking of adjustment, it's kind of like suspension. There's a lot of movement in here. I'm basically moving the entire robot mower, so there is a lot of movement on those back wheels. And then the front wheels also have some movement, but not nearly as much. And here's what it looks like from the back side. There's just a ton of rotation back there, so this can basically navigate over any obstacle, definitely over anything that I have. Alrighty, next thing we're gonna do is go over the phone app, and I'll try to show you basically everything that I know about the app, because I think it is pretty important for you to familiarize yourself with basically any product app. The more you know about it, the more enjoyable it's gonna be. Anyway, once you open up the app, this is gonna be the first screen that you see, or your home screen. And I'll just try to explain this as best as I can. So right up here at the top left, that's gonna be the name of your mower. I originally called this one the Batmobile, and then I changed it to Transform Mower because honestly, I think it looks kind of like a transformer. Right in the center, of course, you're gonna see my entire property. And if you look kind of here on the right-hand side of the screen, earlier I was saying that it says my cutting area is only 0.62 of an acre, and I thought it would be a little bit more of that, but I guess I didn't really realize, you know, all the other stuff that's kind of in the way, and the robot mowers just don't cut. So my cutting area is only 0.62 of an acre. So there you go. Anyway, I've got like 8 different zones. I've got the big one in the backyard, which we're in right now. I've got 2 like main zones up in the front yard, or 2 zones in the front yard. And then my 4th zone is gonna be like the perimeter all the way over here to the driveway. And then this is the very first mower that has ventured past my driveway and successfully returned after completing a job. So I have a zone 5, which we're gonna walk over there here in a little bit. And then back here, I've got a zone 6 and a zone 7, which is where no other robot mower has ever gone and returned. Basically, people come down the hill behind my house, big trucks, and they can't make the turn, so they end up going up into my yard, and it leaves a bunch of ruts back there. And no other robot mower has been able to go back there except for this one, because this is a really big robot mower, and it's got 4-wheel drive, and it's got the crazy front wheels. If it gets kind of stuck, it can basically do its voodoo magic and get out of those ruts and then continue cutting. It's kind of crazy, and I'm really excited that I can do that, so now I don't have to spend the time getting my riding mower out. I know that doesn't seem like it would be very much, but it's kind of like a whole ordeal. I usually have to air up a tire, you know, go back there and do it, and then, you know, whatever. So anyway, this is the very first mower that's been able to go back here behind my fence. And then I also have a little spot right here, which is over by my driveway. I've never actually taken a robot mower there either. This robot mower has done many firsts for me, and I like that. Anyway, moving on, I kind of got sidetracked there. Right down here at the bottom, if you're kind of lazy and you just want to cut the grass, all you're gonna do is hit the mow button right here. The next screen, you're gonna basically select the zones that you want. Maybe you only want the front, maybe you only want the back. It doesn't really matter. You just choose your zones and then you hit start. Now, if you want to customize the order of zones, you can do that with the little button up here. I do that because I've got the gutters that drop down to the ground. Sometimes I forget to lift those up. So if I start in a zone that doesn't have those, it gives me a little bit of time to remember or to get out there to lift those up. So I usually do mine in a specific order. Anyway, from here, all you would do is hit start, and then the robot mower is going to go out there and cut your grass. Of course, I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want it to move. The next thing, of course, if it's out there, you know, and you need it to come home for some reason, all you do is hit the home button and it will return back to the charging station. There is a couple other things in here that you can see. Bluetooth, your battery percent. This week I've done 2.47 acres, so I've done quite a bit of cutting. You can actually click on that and it'll basically tell you how many times you've mowed, how much in each area, you know, all of that kind of stuff for day, week, and month. It'll give you all that type of information back here if, you know, you're into that sort of thing. You can also create schedules right here, which I don't really do schedules. I just come in here and hit the mow button and select different areas. every couple of days. I could probably set that up on a schedule, but I just do it every couple of days. It's really easy to come in here and just hit the start button. There's a couple other buttons right here. I don't know, get your Navimow ready for different scenarios. So holiday, quiet time, or worry-free mowing, or pause all lights and sounds and all that kind of stuff. You can do that, which I've never actually done. And also there is a child lock feature. When enabled, the buttons on the mower will be locked, so kids or pets cannot operate the mower if they press any buttons by accident, which I should probably have that one set because I do have cats out here, and then at nighttime there's usually like raccoons and all that kind of stuff, so I should probably enable that one. And then moving on to the right hand side of the screen, you can actually change the way you view the map. So if you want to view it like Google Maps type of stuff, you can, that's basically how you do it, is you just change to what it looks like. This is more of like the detailed map view of your entire yard. The one below that is where we can get in here and adjust all of your settings, which you're gonna wanna do. So I'm just going to zoom into zone 1 back here where we're sitting. I'm going to highlight it, and then I'm going to go, for now, I'm just gonna go to edit. So the first one is adjust by drawing. So you can adjust your map by drawing on the map, and that's exactly what I did over here after I did the auto mapping, where it went around. I've got that weird piece of concrete sitting out here, and every robot mower goes around it. I just went in here and adjusted the map. I zoomed into this area right here, and I just pick a point right there, and then I would pick a point right there and hit next, and it makes a complete straight line, and that's exactly what I wanted to do over there. You can actually, adjust the map anywhere you want by drawing lines. Okay, I'm just gonna save that. Hopefully it's fine. And it'll go through the saving process, and the robot mower will tell you that it saved the process. Okay, so once that's back done, continue mapping. Okay, let me go back in here to edit. So anyway, we can adjust our map by drawing. We can adjust it with the mower. So if you need to get a little bit more detailed after you did like the auto mapping and you don't want to draw it, you can adjust it with the mower. Next one down is splitting zones. So if you have a zone that you need to split down in two for whatever reason, you can do that. It'll basically create 2 zones in that area. If you wanted to merge areas, let's say you split a zone and you didn't really want to split it and you want to merge it back, you can do that with the merge button. Next one down is your cutting height. So for my yard, I basically have everything set down to 2 inches. I feel like the 2 inches on here is like my 2.5 on other robot mowers. That's the only reason I selected 2 inches. But if you wanted to go in here and change it, you can go all the way down to 3/4 of an inch, all the way up to 4 inches. Next one down is going to be mowing direction, which I find is, well, that one's really important to me because I like to have the lines going a specific way. Like the checkerboard pattern. So in here, you basically have a compass with a bunch of different directions on it. You can see I've got E and B highlighted right now, but you can go in here and select all the directions or just certain directions that you want, and then you can also rotate that. So if it's not 100% how you want, you can basically customize this to any direction that you want, which is pretty nice. And the other thing that I just learned is the more angles you have selected, it'll basically rotate through those, every time you cut the grass. So I've got B and E cut, so that'll give me like my checkerboard pattern that I like to see in the yard. Next one down is renaming. So if you need to rename your zones, you can do that. And then for edge mowing, mow along the boundary, which of course we want to do. And then you can also mow around off limit or like no-go zones, which I do have enabled because I want it to mow around those zones. And that's pretty much all of the editing stuff that you can do for each little tiny area. We back out of that and we go to add more. This is where you can kind of do boundaries. So if you need to do a new zone, you're going to select boundary. Off limit island, that is basically a no-go zone. I did do that around my solar panels over here. The next one obviously is channel, so you can go from zone to zone and you can put those channels basically wherever you want. Whenever you select it, you just follow the directions that it has on the screen. The next one, vision fence off zone, which is kind of important if you have like dandelions or things that this might see as an obstacle. So let's say you got this and your yard is a little overgrown. If I didn't mention it, these are basically yard maintainers. They want you to cut your grass first, and these will maintain it kind of like indefinitely from there. But let's say you just bought this and your grass is a little overgrown, or we'll use the example of it rained for a couple of days, the grass grew, and then you need to go back out there, and let's say there's a couple high spots. The robot mower might see it as an object and go around. So if you see it doing stuff like that, or if it's going around dandelions and stuff like that, you're going to click that vision fence, and we are going to, you can see all the little blues, the blue zones that I have basically on my perimeter. I'm still getting a lot of dandelions out there, so I basically created like a block of an area that what it does is it basically lowers the obstacle detection, and it'll basically cut anything in its path wherever you have, you know, your vision fence right there. So that's what I did for my perimeters. So if you're having issues of the mower going around things and you can't figure it out, just put a vision fence around it and the obstacle detection will kind of go away, and it'll cut anything in its path. Okay, so the next one is doodle, which I've never actually doodled before. All right, so if we want to add a doodle, we can do creative logos. So there's some logos in here that you can choose, which we will probably do later on this year. The wife's a big football fan for the Huskers, so we will probably do footballs in the yard. Oh, look at that, I can do cats and paw prints and stuff. If we back out of that, you can do letters and numbers, so we can put, you know, like the Huskers or whatever in the backyard or in the front yard. That's pretty cool. Okay, and then the last one is the Mowgate channel, which I'm really excited about, and they did send me one. Boom! Mowgate! But I just haven't had time to actually get it installed, so I'm probably just gonna do a whole nother video on the Mowgate. Yeah, we'll just do a whole nother video on that. Okay, so anyway, that's all of your options of stuff that you can do right through here. And then also on the main page right here, you can see we have a little tiny controller. We can go in here and, you know, manually control the robot. I'm just gonna move it just slightly. And then if you wanna turn on the blades on the bottom, you're going to do that, and now you can hear the blades are spinning. Now I do have a little con for this right here, which I would mention later on in pros and cons, is whenever you're doing this, you have to hold the blades in place or up here like that, and then you have to steer it with one thumb. I wish they could make that so you could basically enable it, and then you could have two joysticks just like you do whenever you're doing the mapping. Because when you're doing the mapping, this is real easy to control. You have two joysticks. You have a forward and backwards, and then you have a left and right joystick. I wish they could make the manual mowing the same, basically. And then the last thing up here is the little cog, and this is where you get into all of your other mowing options. So first one is mowing schedule. Like I mentioned, I don't do mowing schedules. I just cut whenever I want to cut, basically every 2 days. The next one down is your work mode. This is kind of like your speed, slow, medium, and fast. I just keep everything on efficient mowing, basically because it's the fastest. If a grass was starting to be a little tall, maybe I would use the standard mowing, so it would be a little bit slower. I don't know if I would ever use quiet mowing because I want the blades to spin as fast as I can, and I think whenever you use quiet mowing, it makes it a little bit quieter, which means the blades are going to spin a little bit slower. So I just keep mine on efficient and call it a day. We back out of there. The next one again is going to be your cutting height, which we already mentioned in the other options. You can go from 3/4 of an inch all the way up to 4 inches. Next one down is going to be mowing at nighttime, which I do. This does have the headlights on there, which I'm pretty sure you can turn off in here as well. I do typically have this one enabled because I will cut my backyard at nighttime and I'll do the front yard the following day. Next one is map management, which is basically going back to that screen that we just kind of went over. Next one down is mowing reports, which is basically the All the reports that I already showed you from the home screen, it is also back here. Next one for the advanced features, this is the EFLS NRTK network. That's a mouthful right there. So we have camera assisted positioning, which I do have on. I think that's pretty helpful whenever we're going through my channel over there. It kind of goes through like a gate and some fencing area. I think that's helpful for that. And then for positioning mode, so this, you can do the network RTK. And I think if you don't have all the trees and stuff like I have, and I'm also kind of in like a little tiny valley, I just get crap signal for literally everything down here. For me, I just switched mine over to local RTK, and it seems to work really, really well for my place right here. Now, whenever I hooked everything up, it did work for the regular RTK network. That's the one that's basically free everywhere. But I think I ran into an issue. I think it was actually underneath my eave. It just doesn't get very good signal because it tells you to not put it under an eave. So of course, what do? Is I put it underneath an eave. So what I ended up doing was changing it over to local RTK. I installed the RTK out here, and I haven't had any problems with that whatsoever. Next one down is the vision fence channel obstacle avoidance. Let's say you're going across your driveway for a channel, and then there's like a trash can in the way. That, you know, you're basically allowing it to go around that trash can on your channels. I also have the animal friendly turned off because I have cats. They're pretty smart. They're not just gonna lay down in the middle of the yard when this thing's out here. They're gonna basically hop out of the way. And I'm not worried about really any other animals, because if there's raccoons when I'm cutting at night, they're basically scared of everything. They're gonna move, and I think that's pretty much mostly what we have around here. So next one down is the adaptive weather. So there's a lot of options in here. Obviously, I'm not gonna be using the robot mower when there's snow. I'm actually gonna bring this inside so I can keep the battery lasting as long as we can, but there's other options in here for hot weather or strong winds. Maybe you're in an area that could potentially have a problem. You can enable or disable that. Next one down is traction control, which was not enabled as default. You do have to come in here. Basically, honestly, I would have that enabled, because if you have roots in your yard like I do, it'll be able to get over that stuff and navigate it a little bit easier. Plus the little area on the other side of the fence where all those ruts are. This will definitely help in, you know, areas like that, or hills, you know, stuff like that. Smart home, I don't have anything smart home, honestly, so I've never actually gone in here to look at that, but Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant for your options. The next one down is lab. This is another one that was not enabled by default, which I should have had enabled whenever I did the automatic mapping, because whenever I went over here by my sidewalk, it basically stayed away from the sidewalk because I didn't have edge sense on. When you have that on, it'll basically get closer to that edge. So definitely enable that one. You're gonna have anti-theft, so mower lifted alarm, geofence alarm, and then you have the locate my mower option. Device lock, so you can do the child lock, which we just did. We have a safety lock, and then you can reset your PIN code. You have proximity unlock, so if you are walking up to your mower, you can have this automatically connect to it before you open up the app. And then there's a few other options down here as well, which I don't think I'm gonna go over every single one of those. All right, well, there you go. That's gonna be the app in a nutshell. The next thing we'll do is we'll probably step back in time so I can show you my yard, what it looked like before we started cutting, and then after that, I will jump back into the now and show you what it looks like right now. So this is going to be the whole backyard. So I've got all sorts of obstacles. I've got trees, picnic table, more trees, a wood pile over there. There is a spot out here that I would typically have to make a no-go zone for other two-wheel drive robot mowers. Right here, there was a tree at one time, so it's real soft. Basically, all the robot mowers would get caught in that. With this one, I don't think I'll have to worry about that, which is really nice. Okay, now we'll go up to the front yard and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, this is gonna be my front yard. So we do butt up against a neighbor's yard right over there. We've got a whole bunch of trees for obstacles for it to go around. We got another, I don't know, feature right there. There's a stump in the middle. We got a bush right there. And then around this side, we have a little bit more grass and then some trees right here. And then of course we have the little strip that goes all the way around because we are on a corner. And then there is an area that I have attempted to take robot mowers and they all typically fail. That's gonna be this area back here. Like there's the backyard. This is the other side area. So I've attempted to take robot mowers back here. Usually the farthest I will go is to this stop sign and then I will come back. Reason I don't go back here is because it's all, well, it's pretty steep right here, so I can't bring a robot mower over this part. Typically I have to come up right through here and then go back that way. But usually from here and then to where we meet up with the neighbors, I really can't bring a robot mower back here because there's so many ruts from the big trucks trying to make this turn. They will drive up into the property and then continue on, or other people doing the exact same thing.
If you've ever seen any of the videos of that Joe has put out about the people running down the hill behind our house and then through the fence, that is the place where they go through, and so it creates big ruts and stuff in the yard right there. But go and watch those videos because they are hilarious.
So you can actually see we've only cut this back here, what, once or twice this year so far? Well, it's really, really tall and there's all sorts of ruts going through this way, right through here. People throw their trash back here. It's not a robot friendly place, but since this one is so large and in charge, I think it's gonna do it. And I am going to map it back here because it's got those big knobby four-wheel drive wheels. This area never gets cut with a robot mower. So once we're done cutting the backyard, I'm going to map the rest of the yard. I'll probably do it in manual mode because I can do it a little quicker than the automatic mode. And then I really want to try this area back here. Oh, where are you going? Where are you going, little crazy girl? Huh? Is it exciting? Yes, exciting times. So I have a spot right here that I put the Navimow. I hope it's gonna work. We're gonna find out. I just basically cut a little spot into this little flower bed area because there was nothing growing in that spot. I guess we need to turn it back on. Oh yeah. And just keep in mind, I still haven't read the instructions or the manual or anything. I guess we're just kind of seeing how intuitive it is. We will open up the app and we're just going to hit create map. And I guess we could technically try the auto mapping back here next. Okay, it just gives us an example of all the things. Got it. Preparations. I do have a cat running around out here, which might help. We'll hit next. I don't know. We're just going to hit next on all these. Okay, so let's recheck the self-check. We have a weak GPS signal. Oh, this takes 1 to 8 minutes. Okay, so I might have to use the RTK when it's parked right here. I do have a lot of trees in the way as well. Okay, so let me go get that and set that up and I'll be right back. Alrighty, a couple hours later, had to run a few errands. I made a quick little adjustment. I widened my little area. Hopefully it doesn't run over the corner there. If it does, then I'll just widen it more. And then I added the RTK right here, just in case we need it, because we couldn't get a signal earlier. We'll open up the app, create map, and we're gonna attempt the auto mapping, self-checking. Okay, we have all check marks this time. Here it goes. Oh, okay, so I might have to widen it just a smidge.
Oh my God, literally like
Yeah, just a smidge. Okay, now mark this zone. Finish marking. Start mapping. Auto mapping is in progress. You can safely close the app while we'll notify you when it's done. Yep, it made it all the way back to the charging station. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, it went ahead and did the auto map of my backyard. I think it did a fairly good job. There's some areas over here by the solar panels where it didn't go all the way through. I could get it closer to the fence because I know eventually grass will grow there. And then, maybe.
Do you really
No,
know that?
I don't.
Because I feel like...
And then, yeah, there's a few small spots over there in between the trees what I would probably adjust, but I think I'm going to let it go and see what it does. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay,
Test it out.
okay. Real scene map is ready. Tap to switch views for realistic lawn details. Got it. I'm gonna hit that button.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Since it hasn't gone through the
Oh.
entire yard yet, maybe it obviously doesn't have a map of the entire thing. But once it's done, I think this little map thing could be pretty cool.
That looks cool.
Okay, anyway, I'm gonna go back to this for now.
Boring.
So I'm gonna go into the settings, and for the work mode, this is like your slow, medium, and fast. I'm just gonna leave it on standard. That would be like medium speed. I'm not gonna do a schedule right now. We're gonna go to the cutting height, and we do what, 2.5? I think on the other mowers I've done 2.5, so that's what we're gonna do this time. Mowing at night. Yes, I am going to do mowing at night, but I'm pretty sure we'll be done with this backyard sooner than that. This one, camera assisted positioning is on. Oh, so I hooked up the antenna, but I don't even have it enabled in the app. I'm gonna leave it just like this and see what happens. Yeah. Vision fence, what is this? Channel obstacle avoidance, animal friendly. We're gonna turn that off. Channel obstacle avoidance, we'll just leave that as adaptive weather.
What does that mean, animal friendly?
Like if it sees animals, it'll go around them. You may turn that one on because we got 2 cats out here now.
They will move out of the way.
Yeah, ours will move. Traction control. When enabled, the mower will tackle wet, muddy, and other complex terrains with ease when it works autonomously. This improves stability and traction control of the mower, reducing chances of it getting stuck. Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Why not? Okay, well, Lauren, should we just hit the mow button and see what happens?
Yeah.
All right, here goes. Mow. Clear progress and start from scratch. Well, we haven't done anything. Here we go. This is gonna be the first mow,
Cool.
which I might still have to adjust that fence.
No, it's great. It's fine.
Oh, it made it out that
missed it,
time.
yeah.
All right, I'm gonna try to get real. It sounds like just fans. This is like the quietest one we've ever had. How are we doing over here? Oh, it is going in there further.
Yeah, it really is. It's going more into the corners.
Okay, cool. So it actually did. You're not gonna be able to see it very well, but it did go in there and come back out. And it's doing it to this one right now. So of course, since it is a bigger mower, it can't get all the way in there, but it's attempting to get in there. Yeah, I think the perimeter, of course, is going to be the slowest. I would definitely adjust the map and overhang the sidewalk. And we'll see what we do around this thing. It went around this last time for the, yep, it's going to go right around it. Okay, we have made the perimeter cut. I find it interesting to see how every robot mower does their path cutting, and every single one is different. I mean, of course they're going to be different, but you think they would be kind of the same, but they're not. Every single one of them is completely different of the brands that I've tested so far. Right, Malcolm? They're all different. Yeah, look how tall this is. Not really. That's okay. So this area is a first for a robot mower because of all the ruts. So I'm not expecting it to be absolutely perfect back here. I'm just kind of excited that it's actually doing it. Or attempting to, at least. Climbs up that just fine. Don't fall off. Oh, you went off the curb there, buddy. Can you get back up? Yeah. Oh, it did. It recovered. Yeah, since this is so tall, it's just pushing a lot of it over. But wherever the shorter grass is, it is cutting it. All right, well, you see what it looks like right now. It looks like a big pile of crap. I'm going to let it do its thing and we'll come back and see what it looks like when it's done. All right, Navimow is sitting right there. We just completed this area for the first time. And I think we could do a little bit better. Since it's so tall, it basically pushes it over. However, it did get through this entire area. And all the ruts and stuff are like kind of in this section right through here. So, okay, it's really windy out here. What I'll probably do is send it in this area again, or maybe even 2 times, and see if we can get this all leveled out. All right, next thing I'll do is take you around the property to show you how well it's been taken care of, my yard. Okay, obviously right over here is going to be my charging station. I just made this little spot for it because there was nothing growing in there. My little RTK antenna is sitting right here. I would have liked to actually put it up there, but the cable that comes with it isn't long enough, and that's about as far away as I could get by routing my wires around there. That's just some gee-whiz information. Okay, so anyway, we're gonna come over here to this little area. It navigates this area now just fine, but whenever I was doing the auto mapping, it basically went in this section a little bit and then turned around and came out, and it actually went around the other side, came in a little bit, and then backed back out the other way. So this is one little area that I did have to adjust, is making a straight line through here. And once I did that, I did make this a no-go zone. So now you can see how close or far away everything gets. And just FYI, there is some 4x4 posts in here, so that's why we have all this extra grass right through here. If you look how close we get to the solar panels, I mean, it's pretty close. I would say we're within a hand worth. And that's pretty normal for where the blades sit from on the bottom of the mower. It navigates this whole area just fine. And then we just kind of walk back here. Just some FYI information for my yard. Whenever I did the auto mapping, I didn't do any no-go zones or anything like that. So it has figured out how to navigate all of these trees, the wood pile, trees over here, the table, and that tree right there. One huge bonus with this, since it is 4-wheel drive and pretty powerful and big and all that kind of stuff, it's able to go over these roots over here. And typically with every other single robot mower that I've tested, I always have to make this like a no-go zone around some of these trees because every single one will get stuck. And for this one, I did not do anything at all, and it's able to navigate and figure all of this out. All of these roots just fine, and continues on back here. And again, if I haven't set it with this mower yet, it makes everything look like a golf course. And just FYI, if you haven't seen any of my other robot mower videos, I'm here in the Midwest in Nebraska. Wintertime, everything freezes over like rock solid, and then in the springtime when everything thaws out, you know, it'll heave and hoe. Although the yard looks like it's perfectly flat and smooth, you can practically roll an ankle out here if you're not paying attention. That's how bumpy it is. Now, I do have a riding lawnmower, and that's what we used to use before the robot mowers. And back here specifically, you cannot go very fast because it's just so bumpy. You're being tossed around so much, and I have a bad back and it hurts. So yeah, this right here, although it might look like it is perfectly, like a perfectly smooth flat yard, it is not at all. So it does a fantastic job back here. Again, going around all of my wood pile and stuff. There's a cat, so if my cat was out here and the robot was mowing, it would go right around that cat, just FYI. It's able to figure out how to get through this little area and these downed logs. Previously, this little area, this was a tree and we had it removed, and it's just really soft right through here. So every other single robot mower, I have to make a no-go zone around this because they will get stuck. I didn't do anything for this one. It tackles this no problem. And then same thing for this tree. Most other robot mowers have problems around this, and it tackles this tree and the roots and all that stuff that stick out just fine. So yeah, it makes my whole backyard look absolutely amazing. And it's even able to get in and out of these little areas, you know, the best it can, because it is kind of a bigger robot, so it will go in just a little bit on this, and then obviously it goes in a little bit through there. And you can see I haven't done any trimming or anything like that, and I do that on purpose so I can show where the mower goes and where it doesn't go. Kind of on purpose. I just really hate doing the weed eating part, so I just don't do it very often, but I should. I will. And if you're curious why we have all these spaces through here, is this spot right here, we had a big limb fall out of that, so that took out this little area. And then these other spaces are from people crashing through my yard, stuff like that. So we'll get that fixed one day. Here's the rest of the backyard. I mean, it makes it look fan-freaking-tastic. And just like I mentioned earlier, is I don't do like schedules or anything like that. I just go and mow like every couple of days. And whenever I do that, I like to do the checkerboard. So whenever I do the back, I basically do it twice. Is I'll do it, you know, this way, and then the next time I'll do it that way. And then sometimes I will also go this way as well. So first cut I'll do this way, and then the second cut I'll do this way. And that's basically automatic inside the app. And then other times, whenever I mix it up just a little bit, is I'll go in this direction here. And you can see all of my lines, hopefully. And then there is this direction right here. So as you can tell, it makes the backyard look absolutely amazing. Now, it does have a slight problem getting through here because of this raspberry bush. You know, it's an obstacle. I just need to move some of those limbs back. But it does get through here just fine. And then we go up into the front yard right here. So this is one zone right here. We're right up against one of the neighbors. So there is my line. It is nice and straight. And it looks absolutely amazing. And I do the same thing up here. I will cut it in this direction, and then I'll do the opposite, you know, checkerboard pattern. And then occasionally I will send it in this direction right here, okay? So yeah, it looks really, really good up here. I can get you close to these trees over here. This is how close we get to this smaller tree. It does leave some stuff around that, so you are going to have to do your trimming, of course. And then same thing for all of these trees. Again, I didn't set up any no-go zones up here. I just did my perimeter around, you know, every single area. And I didn't do any no-go zones. I let the robot mower figure all of that out, and it's done a great job. Now, there's a couple things that the robot mowers do have a problem with, and it's not just this one, it's basically all of them. And they are going to be inside corners like this, because it just can't get in there. So I just want you to be aware of things like that. You're just not gonna be able to get in these inside corners, you know, anywhere at all, just because the mower is, you know, quite big. Even the smaller ones can't get in there. Okay, and this is gonna be the next zone, which I do have it out here right now. I just sent it up here to get started with this area. I did cut this one this morning and the perimeters, and I'm just gonna do this one right now. And I do this the exact same way. You can see my cut lines going this way, and then if we turn this way, you'll be able to see them this way as well. And then some other things or obstacles that it has to go around is this bush thingy right here. We've got a old stump right there, and then that bush right there. So yeah, that is gonna be the whole front yard up here. And again, it looks like a golf course. So I forgot to put these up, and this is normally not in its path, and it actually did go right around it. I don't know if you can see that in the grass or not, but this was something that is normally set up. The first perimeter path, it went right around it, so that's kind of cool. That's the first time I forgot to leave those down for this robot mower, and it went right around it. So obstacle avoidance works excellent. All right, now I'm gonna take you to a spot that I never take robot mowers. I attempted one time, and then it's when I found out that the ruts back here are too bad for robot mowers. Until now. The area that I never take robot mowers is right back here, and I'm able to actually do it. This is the very first time I've been able to send a robot mower back here. This area, basically from this pole to the signs right there, big trucks will come down this hill and they won't make the corner, so they drive up onto the grass up here, and then they'll make a wide berth and then, you know, continue on down the street. When they do that, they make the really deep ruts in here. So I'm gonna try to point out some of these ruts if you can see them. So there's a deep rut going there, and then the rest of the way, I mean, there's just long, deep ruts going like everywhere through here. It's really, really bad. Like if you're not paying attention, you will roll an ankle back here. It's probably really hard to tell on camera, but it's really, really bad. Oh, look, here's another one right here. So that's probably the one that guy made going that way. Maybe he hit my fence, I don't know, and then went back out that way. Every other single robot mower will get stuck back here until now. This one will actually come back here, and I trust it enough to come back here and cut everything and make it back, which is done maybe 6 or 7 times. Now, I'll admit some of this back here does look like crap because I haven't done any trimming whatsoever. I basically just sent the robot mower back here. I put the obstacle avoidance, you know, I made the little zone back here so all the obstacle avoidance comes off because it was like literally like over a foot tall when I started back here. And I just let it go back here, you know, repeatedly, and it's been able to cut it every single time. Even along my fence line on this side, which I've never even attempted with other robot mowers, because if it didn't do this, I'm not gonna have it do that. This one will do this as well. I mean, it's not like the greatest or anything, but it's at like a 45-degree angle. So the robot mower will go up here as close to, and get close to the fence as it can and continue on. So I'm really excited since this mower can do that, and I've done it maybe 6 or 7 times, and every time it has not gotten stuck, and on top of that, it's been able to return. So I'm really excited that the robot mower will make it back here and back to the charging station. Okay, well, I guess we could get into some pros and cons, and honestly, with this one, this is probably by far my favorite one, not only because it looks freaking badass, but it just does a fantastic job. We're out here cutting the front yard right now. You can see the path that we're on. Yeah, this one just does a really good job. I'm really impressed with the whole steering system on these. The steering on this is like no other robot mower that I've ever seen. Yeah, the steering on this is just unreal. And it doesn't tear up your yard whenever it's trying to turn around or do whatever it's trying to do with those front crazy wheels. I mean, it just does a really good job of steering which is a little bit different than most of the other ones. It seems like the other four-wheel drive ones they have like the side rollers on the front wheels, and those kind of dig in or tear up your yard. And then for like the two-wheel drive, if those get stuck, the back wheels, you know, the drive wheels will basically, it'll just dig. And since this one is four-wheel drive, you know, it doesn't really do that. I haven't tried it on any hills or anything like that because I don't have any, so I can't speak to that. But for my yard, I haven't seen any spots where they dig. I can give you an example for other robot mowers. A lot of the two-wheel drive ones, if you have kind of like a steep edge along your sidewalks area right here, and it tries to go over that and then turn around. If it's got caster wheels on the front, sometimes those will get stuck and then it'll start digging in like little tire marks in the edges of your yard. This one, I haven't seen it do anything like that because it's four-wheel drive. Next one would be all the features that you get inside the app. So I like to do like the checkerboard pattern, and you can basically set that up there for the most part. It'll basically cut in one direction only, and you have to go in there and do another cut, but it'll go in the opposite direction if you have it selected. So now it would be cool if they had a button that you could just hit for checkerboard, but I don't think they have that in there. So maybe that would be like a con technically, that it doesn't have that option, but I can just go in there and cut the zone twice. Now I don't really have like pros and cons about this. I mean, everything about it is just awesome. Literally awesome. I guess the only things that I do have to say bad about it, or cons or suggestions, would be inside the app, which would be, you know, a checkerboard option for cutting the grass. And then the next one would be inside the app as well, and that is whenever you're doing like manual cutting, not that you really do that very often. When you do manual, you have to use your left thumb to slide up and hold the blade engagement, and then on your right hand you just have one joystick to control it, so it can get a little squirrely. So it would be cool if the manual mode option, if you could just hit a button to engage the blades and then have, you know, two joysticks, one for forward and reverse and then the other one for left and right. That would be very, very helpful. Basically, just like whenever you're doing manual mode for mapping or your zones, you get two joysticks for that. Basically make it that option, but have a blade engagement button. That would be really nice. But I mean, I don't really know how often I would be manual mowing unless it actually missed something crazy, which it hasn't yet. Yeah, I don't know if I really have, you know, like a solid con. Honestly, this has probably been the best robot mower that I've ever tested. I mean, it does a really, really good job. If I didn't mention it, you know, of course, it'll do my entire property in one day, and I think we have somebody watching it right now. I'll just wave to him. If I didn't mention it, you know, it'll cover my entire property now that I only found out that it's only 0.62 of an acre. For cutting. Obviously it cuts all of that in one day and then some. Usually, honestly, what I'll do is I'll cut each zone twice in one day, you know, in the checkerboard pattern. That's typically what I'll do, and it'll do all of that in one day just fine. And that includes not checkerboarding the area by the street, but I'll cut all those areas by the street as well. Yeah, this one's just been probably the best one that we've ever tested, and I like it a lot. And honestly, just look at it. I mean, it looks freaking awesome. And another thing about this one is I've probably had more people stop and talk to me about this robot mower than any other robot mower that I've tested. I know that's not really like a pro or a con, and maybe you don't like people stopping and talking to you, but if you have one of these, they will stop and talk because they think it is just awesome. I do like the fact that you can do the patterns and words in your yard, because in the fall time, the wife and her family, they're big Cornhusker fans. We're in Nebraska, so I can put big footballs in the yard and I can write Huskers and all that kind of stuff, and it's probably hard to see from the ground, but any helicopters or whatever, I mean, they can see it. I like doing all that kind of stuff. It's kind of fun to do. And if you got like birthday parties or whatever type of stuff, you know, you can put all those designs in the yard, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I don't really know what else I can tell you. It's just been a fantastic robot mower. It does a really good job making your yard look like a golf course. If that's what you're going for, it'll definitely do that. Yeah, I don't really know what else I can tell you, so I guess that's gonna be the end of the video. If anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns about, he's hiding from me, the Segway Navimow X430, make sure you put those down in the comments section. If you are looking for the new Segway Navimow X430, it's right there, but I'll also have it down in the description as well. Make sure you like that smash button on your way out, and I'll see you on the next one. Unless you got something to say. Just the deuces?
Bye.
Excited because, of course, why would you show up here? Ah, my legs are going to sleep. Yep. This is why it takes me an hour to do like a little 10-minute bit outside, because I literally have to stop every 2 minutes. Good girl. Good girl.